All right, greetings again. I'm going to get you started drawing. The first thing you'll draw is your floor plan, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks as we go along here. And what we're going to start with first is our exterior walls. That's the first thing you put down. That's going to give you the general footprint of your overall design. And as you're drawing, remember to pay attention to your measurements. You don't want to just start out drawing and just drawing whatever comes to mind, because you'll end up with one of two things. You'll end up with a house that's like 5 miles wide by 10 miles deep, or you'll end up with one that's like 5 inches wide and 10 inches deep. Okay, so pay attention to your measurement. Now, when I first get into a file, I want to make sure that I save and name the file. And that's just a good practice to get into. So if you are in an emergency later and you have to save it so you can come back to it, you'll know what it was called. And this is going to be our first project file. You're going to click the Save button. And, okay, Save came up in another window for me. I'm going to drag it over here. All right, and it typically saves everything right to your documents. Okay, so if you're ever looking for it, that's where it's at. This is how you're going to name your file. You're going to put your first name, not my first name, your first name. And you're going to put capital FP. And that actually, we probably should put an underscore. So underscore FP for floor plan. And let's see, what do I have next? Underscore 2020. And that just kind of helps me find it in my system when I start getting tons of your drawings. And then, of course, click Save. Next thing you want to do is change your measurement style. And you're going to navigate down to the bottom right side, and if you hover right here, it says Current Drawing Units, decimal. All right, I'm going to click on that and change it to architectural. Okay, architectural is foot, inches, and fraction. And that's what we want to start with. We also want to look at our snap selections. Snap is something you've probably never heard of before unless you've used some drawing software. But our snaps, they're right down here, right across the bottom of this status bar. And snap cursor to 2D reference points is on. That's what you need to make sure that's turned on. Okay. If it's just black like this, then you'll want to click on it to turn it on. You'll want to turn this one on. It says Show Snapping Reference Lines. Turn that on. This one says Restrict Cursor to Specific Angles. Turn that on. I'll show you how that works. And then Dynamic Input. You'll see how that works as well, but make sure that is on. Now, going back to our snaps, our 2D reference points, I'm going to click on this pull-down arrow next to it, and you're going to get very used to this because you're going to have to use it quite often. But what this does is it turns on and off different snap behaviors. If I want to snap on endpoints, I can have endpoint turned on. That way I can snap my geometry to endpoints. Same with midpoints, center, and all the rest of them. The ones that are on are typically the ones that are on by default. As your geometry starts to get very complex on the screen, you'll have trouble snapping onto certain things. Like I might want to snap onto the quadrant of a circle. However, I keep getting an endpoint because it's really close by. So I would turn off the endpoints and keep my quadrant on, or vice versa. So you'll come in as you're modeling and you will turn on and off these different snap behaviors. This next one is just the guidelines. There's no settings for that one. There is a setting for this one. It says Restrict Cursor to Specified Angles. And if I click on that, I can change the different angles that it will snap to. 45, 90, 135 is, and 180 is the default, and that one is perfectly fine. You might find yourself coming down here to change it to achieve snaps at other angles, and that just kind of helps you to ensure that you get the angles that you want and not just wind up with something that's out of the blue and then not having symmetrical angles and things like that in your work. And then, of course, there's no settings for dynamic input either. So getting started with our floor plan, and I'm just going to draw some. Whoops, I forgot one thing. Next is not drawing. Okay, next is layers. Okay, we have to set our layers first before we start drawing. So if you come here to Layer Properties, click on that, and you should get this window that pops up to set your layers. If you don't get this window to pop up, just let me know. It sometimes gets lost between the two monitors. How that happens, I don't know, but we can get it in there for you. What we want to do in here is, of course, this layer is the default layer. We're going to leave that. I like to keep that layer. Of course, I don't even think you can delete it, but we're going to add 4 more layers to that. So just click this little button right here. It looks like a stack of paper with a little orange spark for some reason coming out of it. And that adds us 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. Take this first layer and name this one Exterior Wall. And you can abbreviate that EXT.WALL. Okay, next one. Get it to activate here. There we go. Let's name this one INT for Interior Wall. I'll put 3 L's on this wall up here. I don't need that. Oops, I deleted the whole thing. Okay, layer 3. This one is going to be our doors. Layer 4 is going to be our windows. All right. Now these layers you have to set the way I want you to set them, and that's for my purpose, so I can see what I want to see when I look at it. And your bosses may be the same way too. When you go to work and start drafting for someone, they may want to see certain things in certain colors. So the next thing I'm going to do is change those colors. And all I have to do is click on the little color square for each one, like exterior wall. I'm going to click on that one. And then you'll get a color swatch palette thingy. And I'm going to make my exterior wall red. Okay. I'm also going to change the line weight of my exterior wall. And I'm just going to click right here on that word default. And then I get my line weight. I'm going to change my exterior wall to a 30 millimeter. Okay. Interior wall, I'm going to change its color to green. And yeah, this bright green is a good one to use. You want to really use bright colors as much as possible. They're just easier to see when you're working with them. Okay, so bright green. And then we're not going to change the line thickness at all, or the line weight. Doors, we're going to make these yellow. Okay, and I'm going to change its line weight just a tad, not much. We're going to change it to 20. And that's really pretty much the same as default. I like them to be just a little bit thicker, but not real thick. And that just kind of helps them stand out a little bit better. It still looks about the same as default. But maybe we'll see when we start drawing with it. Windows, I'm going to make blue. So I'm going to click on the little square, and I'm going to pick the bright blue one. Now after this, there will be several other layers that you will add, because all the major components need to go on their own separate layer. And I will let you choose the colors for all of the other layers that you're going to put on here. And as we go, I'll tell you what layers those are. In the instruction, I'll probably say, start a new layer for such and such. Okay, but everything has to be on a specific layer, because when it comes to your layouts, when you're getting ready to print them, you're going to want the ability to turn certain components on and certain components off. And you do that by turning their layer on and off. That way you only print on a certain page what it is that you need to see. There's no sense in printing absolutely everything in the drawing on every single page. So we'll start with these. All the rest of them you can color however you want to. Alright, so let's see. I think that is it. Let me look at my list here, and next we can go to, draw the outside perimeter. We're coming close to 10 minutes, so what I want to do is pause here and create another video. I try to keep them 10 minutes long so that you can take care of the 10-minute task, each one at a time, and then once you finish that one, you can get to the next video. So this video pretty much getting set up for drawing, I guess I should probably call this one. Okay, and the next video I'll actually show you how to put down the exterior perimeter.